Okay guys, in this video we're going to take a look at the Eachine LCD5800D, and it's a 7-inch LCD. Even though it says here it has a diversity receiver, it's actually a single receiver, 5.8 gigahertz, 40 channels, and it has a built-in DVR. It's a 800 by 480 pixel screen, and it's chargeable by USB port. Now supposedly the DVR will also record the video in 720p, so it'll be interesting to see if that's true or not. Okay, so here's everything you get in the box. You get your LCD screen, you get a sunshade, a user guide, and this bag here with a cleaning cloth and a linear polarized antenna and a USB cord. Supposedly that's for charging, but it does not come with a AC adapter, so you'd have to use your computer or an existing AC adapter you already have to charge via USB port. Now the sunshade here has a felt finish on the inside, and it's plastic on the outside with some Velcro along the edges, and there's also some Velcro here on the screen as well, and that's how you would attach it. So the screen itself has a matte finish, so that should be good for using it in bright sunlight. You get a set of buttons here in the front, including a power button. On the side here you've got a power switch to actually, I believe that disconnects the battery. You get a USB port here for charging the internal battery. There's a button back here. Let's see if this is, yeah, so this will actually give you the battery level. So there's 2 lights out of 3 right now. These 3 buttons here are for the DVR. On top here you've got your RPSMA antenna connector and a single button for changing channels and also for automatic scan. And on the right side here you have your slot for your micro SD card. Compartment for your battery, and it's a 2-cell LiPo battery, 1250 milliamps, with a JST connector, and it is removable. It's a 2-cell battery, but there's no balance connector on here, so there would be no way to charge this other than inside here, and if the cells should get unbalanced, could be an issue. And on the bottom here you've got a tripod connector. So something that you should be aware of is that if the battery is connected here and the power switch is turned on, then there's a drain on the battery because the DVR will be powered. So as you can see, there's a small little hole here where there's an LED, and right now there's no light, but if I power this on with the switch, you get a very glowing red-orange light here, and this is where the DVR is. And so even though the screen is off, it's still consuming about 300 milliamps of power, and that's because the DVR is being powered on through this switch here. So you should be aware of that so you don't drain your battery. Turn the screen on by just pressing the power button, and you get the snow, which is good. This little button here is for rotating the screen. So you press it 4 times and it'll go back to normal. This brings up your menu for the screen itself. Different options: brightness, contrast, color, aspect ratio. And use the up and down buttons here to change your settings. This button here says Cam DVR, and it just switches from the 2 different sources for the screen. As you saw there, when it first powered on, it powered on as AV1. You press this and it goes to AV2, which is the DVR. But when you're in the AV2 for the DVR, the video passes through the DVR, and so there's a slight lag in the video. So I'm going to connect up an FPV source here, and I'll show you what the lag looks like with the DVR on. So I got a video source connected and powered on, and I have the video feed here in the screen, and you can see that as I move my finger in front of the camera, if I quickly move it away, you can see there's a slight delay in the video feed. and that's just because the video is passing through the DVR for the recording purposes. So if you're flying, I wouldn't recommend flying through this particular video source. Just go back to the normal source here. As you can see that now there's much less lag than flying through the DVR source. So going back into the DVR, basically this is the exact same DVR that is in the ProDVR from Eachine, which is this particular unit right here. As you can see, it's a standalone, and I did actually open up this particular monitor already, and back here and here on the back of the monitor you have 3 buttons, and those happen to correspond to the same 3 buttons right here. And you can see here that the SD card slot lines up in the same spot with this. So basically the DVR is like that inside, and even the little LED is in the same spot here. So if you have this particular DVR, all of the buttons are going to work the same way. It's just that they're now upside down in here. And unfortunately, because it is using the exact same DVR as this, it is suffering from all the same firmware problems that this particular guy is suffering from. And that is the initial firmware wouldn't save the settings that you would change. So if you change it from VGA to D1 to HD, it would just revert back to VGA. That problem is still in here. And also the other problem is with the recording of PAL video, and I'll show you a little demonstration of that right now where I tested that, and basically the bottom part of the video screen would get cropped off while you're in the DVR mode, but not in regular video mode. So you would see the full screen in regular video mode and under AV1, but then under AV2 in the DVR mode you would see that it would be cropped. On the bottom would be chopped off, and additionally the recording would show that the bottom would be chopped off as well. As it turns out that this particular bug is still not fixed in the Eachine ProDVR, as well as the predecessor to both of these, the HMDVR, that these were copied from. So I don't know if that's going to be fixed or if they're still working on that. If you're a PAL user, then this is going to be a problem for you guys, so I would recommend not getting this particular setup. For myself as an NTSC user, I only have NTSC cameras. It's not an issue. All the recordings are fine. I get the full recording at 30 frames per second. So when I open up this monitor, there's 8 screws on the outside here to take the bottom off, and you disconnect your battery, of course. Once you take that off, the screen here is going to be connected with a cable to a PCB board that these buttons are operating through. So you got to disconnect that cable, and then annoyingly the screen was glued to the I believe the receiver, and so there's a little dab of glue in the back here where the receiver and the screen are touching, and so apparently the glue hadn't dried, and so those are stuck together. So it took me a little while to separate those to get to take a look at the inside. Your particular unit might be different, it might not be that way. That's the only thing that was holding everything together. And then once I took that apart, then you could see the screen, the receiver, and the DVR all in there, and all the wiring and such. Turns out that this is basically in a nutshell what I did with a previous mod on another video, and I'll put a link up here in the corner. It was this 7-inch FPV ground station, and I did a video on this. I just bought this 7-inch screen. It's very similar to that screen right there, except this has a glossy screen. And I wired up my own receiver and all the wiring is a big mess here with the battery and the HMDVR here up on top. So I could do my recordings to these AV outsources. So I did a whole video on this, and basically what they've done with this Eachine DVR is just taken what I've done here with a very inelegant solution of a mess of wires and such, and put it into a really nice little package here. And it's sort of the benefits of doing manufacturing is you could design a case and everything for this to just put it all together. Now the one thing that my setup has that this one doesn't is that when you're in your normal video mode here, there's no indication as to what channel you're on, and as you can see here, all you get is a button and to do the scanning. So if you press and hold it, you'll go through and scan for all the channels to find the strongest signal. And this is sort of the same problem that the Hobby King Cyclops, those goggles that only had the one button for scanning. It would take a while for it to go through the all 40 channels to find the strongest signal, and it doesn't tell you what channel you're on. Now Eachine made a earlier version of this monitor which actually had a diversity receiver or two antennas, a true diversity receiver. This is the LCD FPV5800D, and this also has a DVR in it. Has a nicer pop-up screen here, or pop-up shade, and the thing I like about this one is that it actually shows you the band and channel you're on, as well as the frequency you're tuned to. So I'll go ahead and press the switch button here. And then here it tells you that you're on band R, channel 2, and it gives you the actual frequency number. This is actually pretty valuable information to have if you're not sure what channel you're actually broadcasting from, and if you are at a race or something where you have multiple video signals to contend with, having just a scan button can be a little bit of a problem. Now the DIY FPV ground station I put together with a separate receiver and DVR does have the ability to show you the band and channel you're on here, but you have to obviously flip the screen around because it's not going to show you on the screen. You have to look back here to see that. However, I think the convenience factor of just having everything here in one unit probably outweighs the savings here. I think this whole thing here probably cost about 60 bucks, and this is about 70, so having everything in one unit like this is probably going to be better for you. And the scan function does work fairly quickly, so it's not that huge of a disadvantage. Now the other 7-inch screen, the 5802D, does come with a diversity receiver as well as the on-screen display and DVR, so it's a little bit nicer, but that one's about $110 to $120, so you go from about $70 to about another additional, almost double the price. It's about another $50 to get those features, so it's kind of up to you as to whether or not you think that is worth it. Okay, so taking a closer look at the DVR features, you're able to do recordings from the DVR interface, which, by the way, you don't necessarily have to be in this interface to initiate a recording. So you go into this interface here, press the cam DVR button, and I believe it is the far right button, or actually this button here, which would be far right when you're looking at it from behind. If you press that, it starts your recording. And then in the back here, the light will start flashing, and it's indicating that it is recording. And to stop the recording, you press that same button again, and it'll stop, and the light will turn solid again. Now, if you just wanted to record and go back to the previous screen, you can do that, or you don't even have to go into this screen to know that you're recording. So here is the actual video feed, not the DVR interface. You can just press that button and it'll start recording. Of course, there's no indication of what's going on the screen, but if you do look in the back here, you see that the light is flashing, which tells you that the video is now recording. And then you can just press that button again, and that stops the recording and saves it. And then going back into the DVR interface, you can again use these buttons to change your settings and also go to the playback menu. So if you press and hold this middle button, that will bring up your settings that you can change. And here I can demonstrate that the changing of the video resolution is not saved in the current firmware. So if I go over here and select that, and I want to change it to HD, you can see it's HD now. And if you press and hold and go back out, that's the next menu. Press and hold again and it'll exit the menu. And if I go and back into the menu again, you can see that the setting is not saved in this current firmware. So they need to come up with a firmware update to fix this problem. To go into the playback menu, you just press and hold this far left button here on this side, next to the side of the monitor, and then it'll go into the playback screens here, and you can use the buttons here to navigate between the different files. If you press the middle button here, that will start the playback, and then you can pause it if you press it again. Press it again, it'll start the playback. If you want to delete, hold and press the button, you can delete this file. You can get out of this menu now. If you press the far left or far right buttons, that actually goes through the different files here that have been saved to the SD card. So you can go backwards here. Here's the different various recordings that I've made. And you can scroll through all these and then press the middle button to play. And then you can see it starts playing right there. To exit the playback menu, you just press and hold this button again, and that'll exit the playback application. And then you're back out to the record function. And then to get back to the main screen, you just hit the DVR button in the front, and then you're back to live video. Now the video recordings themselves are exactly the same format and bitrate as the ones that are on the Eachine ProDVR and also the HMDVR. So if you have those other two DVRs, you'll be very familiar with the way this functions. It's exactly the same. The VGA format is 640 by 480 with 30 frames per second, and the other two are available with their firmware updates. I'm going to find out if the firmware update that came out for these other guys, the Eachine ProDVR and the HMDVR, will work with this one, because they did come out with one firmware update that fixed the menus not being saved, or the settings not being saved when you go into the menu, but they still did not fix the PAL cropping issue. So I'm going to find out if that'll work on this particular model. I'm fairly sure it will, because it looks like the hardware is identical, but I'm going to confirm that before I go ahead and flash it. I want to flash it and then brick the monitor before I have a chance to use it. So I'll probably do that in a future video. Anyway, guys, there's a quick review of the Eachine LCD5800D. It looks like a pretty good monitor for the price. An all-in-one unit with a nice matte 7-inch screen, a DVR, and a pretty good receiver. So if you're in the market for an inexpensive 7-inch FPV monitor for about $70, you really can't go wrong. It does have some issues right now, but I think that they're going to come up with some firmware upgrades that'll fix the DVR problems. Besides that, I don't see any major problems with this, so put a link down in the description if you guys want to check it out. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.